In my 20 years in local government, this is probably one of the hardest challenges we've ever had to deal with. And making those decisions, which we know are the benefit of the majority of people, and they're going to have an impact on the minority of people. But the community overwhelmingly have come up and said, we support what you're doing. We understand why you're doing it. They want their parks back. They want to have that access to those parks that we have throughout the city of Moreton Bay. And unfortunately, we have to make these decisions that these parks need to go back to the greater public use, the greater public access. So we made those decisions, very tough decisions, very hard decisions to make, but we made it in the greater good of the broader community. So we're listening to our community, we're listening to the people that live here, and they're asking us to take action to give their parks back to them.
I think you know how passionate I am about this subject, and I apologise if I get teary talking about it, because there are people in our communities who, for no fault of their own, are in very difficult circumstances. Some of those are women, children, young men, elderly men, and they are difficult circumstances, and but for the grace of God go we. But they are in those circumstances and they are doing the right thing. The majority of them are doing the right thing, but there are some who are not.
No one likes to see anyone sleeping rough. The ultimate goal is to get everyone with a roof over their head. Sometimes there are some complex challenges when you are sleeping rough, and our council's working really hard with the state government to try and overcome some of those challenges. Gayunda Esplanade is a good example. There were drug paraphernalia, mental health issues. There's been assaults down there as well. Our community have been calling for ages for something to be done down there, so we did take action, and we have taken action throughout our whole city, and that is based on community safety. Our parks aren't a place for people to be sleeping. During COVID, we did see a lot of people under a lot of financial pressure, and so we did probably show more leniency than other councils, and unfortunately what we saw was an increase in illegal camping in our parks. So come December last year, we did need to make a change, and that was purely based on public and community concerns around safety and the inability to use their parks and open spaces. These are our ratepayers, and we need to take notice. Centenary Lakes is another really good example of that up in Caboolture. It's a beautiful public space, and we had several complaints from residents, and I know not just the local councillor but the mayor as well, receiving complaints that residents couldn't use that park anymore. They didn't feel safe to walk through there. And that's not to say every rough sleeper is someone that might cause harm, but it's to say that there were our residents that weren't feeling safe, and we needed to take action.
In this past year alone, we've spent over $2.5 million in responding to issues caused by illegal camping, including practical responses and safety measures. This cannot continue.
We've had knives pulled on our staff, a barbecue thrown through one of our council cars' windows. That's just to name a couple of incidents. You should be feeling safe when you come to work, and really all they're doing is going out and trying to clean up our parks for our community to be able to use. So again, another reason why we had to take action. Now we're 8 or 9 months into this process, and we are still seeing some of that behaviour towards our staff. The staff are tired, and it's unacceptable now from our point of view that this continues.
Member for Redcliffe, and call her for a question.
Thank you, Chair. My first question is to the Director General. Can the department advise how many housing offers have been made to persons experiencing homelessness within my electorate of Redcliffe and within the city of Moreton Bay? And of these, how many offers have been rejected?
We have conducted since March 2025 outreach to the area that's often reported Goodfellows Road at Kalanga on 10 occasions in conjunction with Encircle. We conduct our last outreach there on the 8th of July in a joint effort with Encircle, the Queensland Police and Moreton Bay Council officers. We engage with 11 individuals and 9 of which have been offered and declined temporary accommodation, including a number of people who've been previously provided accommodation and exited due to their behaviour. And then there's a further 2 people who have no identification, therefore can't enter the IHR system, and they've declined offers of support to get ID through the specialist homeless services. So we'll continue as we do with all councils, to provide co-responder outreach and where it's deemed safe to do so. Thank you.
No one should have to live the way these people are living for months and months because there isn't crisis temporary accommodation for them. And so I support you today, Mr. Mayor, and I do just want to flag that it is not an easy decision for anyone around this table.
I think over an extended period of time, we've been going through this journey as a community. The vast majority of people who are sleeping rough and are seeking housing in a genuine way, I think, are doing the right thing and being supported through the community as well. We have a very compassionate community, we have a very compassionate council, but there are some circumstances in which behaviour and risk goes beyond a certain threshold. And it's a risk not just to residents, to council staff, but also to people who are sleeping rough as well. So I agree with the items that you've put in this motion because I think they bring us in line with what's been done in other areas in South East Queensland, but I think will improve the outlook and have a better outcome overall.
You don't come to work to upset anyone. You come here, and we say it at the beginning of our council meetings, to promote the common good. And it feels like every time we make a decision, it's being challenged at the moment. We do have some well-meaning community members out there that do want to help. And I always say to them, the best way to help is to go to a registered charity like the Breakfast Club that has wraparound services that can provide a lot of assistance to these people. We don't come to work any day to see anyone in a worse position. So anyone that thinks that is completely wrong. We have been working, this council as a whole, every person around that table wants to see people in housing. We want to see people with a better quality of life. None of us come to work to achieve anything different. Neither does the state government or their workers or politicians.
I know how hard yourself and the Deputy Mayor have been working to try and find solutions in this space, and you've copped a lot of flack, a lot of it very unfair. But that hasn't put you off task. You've worked your guts out to get this done. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maloney. It's been, we won't stop advocating for our communities. We're doing what the majority of the community asks us to do, and that's our job in this role. Parks aren't a place for people to camp, no matter who you are or what your situation is. You shouldn't be camping in a park. I had a lady who works in the youth industry, and she came up and said, thank you for making that decision. And I thought, that's a bit strange. She said the amount of drugs that the youth have access to because these campsites get set up has increased dramatically. So she said, you're saving kids' lives by doing what you're doing. So thank you for doing that. So that was good enough for me to support what we're doing. So yeah, it was heartening to hear that. It's part of the job of being a politician. You've got to make decisions that everyone's not going to be happy with. And it's a difficult part of the job. It wears you down over a period of time too. These decisions are there to improve people's lives. It's there to protect people's lives. And we're doing the best we can with the tools that we have to provide some solutions to this problem. And we want all levels of government to come together to solve this problem and this crisis that's happening to our people now.
People want to know what council are doing about providing housing, and the first thing I do have to remind them is that we aren't funded or resourced to supply housing. That is a role of the state government. But then I like to remind them that as a council, since 2021, we've been doing more than any other council in South East Queensland to provide more housing through housing affordability measures. So we've waived infrastructure charges on new developments.
We've given peppercorn leases to 2 public housing providers, one in Morayfield and one in Caboolture. And we've contributed $3.7 million to the new support hub in Redcliffe, where you will find the Breakfast Club and the Salvation Army. Really important that those wraparound services are there as well for these rough sleepers to be able to try and change their situation. I have no doubt that there are people out there that need more help than just a house, and I have every confidence that the state are starting to address those issues. But I think there is a gap between sleeping in a park and then going to a house. We need to understand not everyone's the same. They come from different backgrounds, and I think if you can supply crisis accommodation with more wraparound services in more places, especially a growing city like Moreton Bay, then we will get a better community outcome.
The piece that's missing in this puzzle is that crisis accommodation where people sleeping rough tonight, need a roof over their head. That accommodation isn't there other than a motel room, which some people don't want to accept that. They're happy to stay where they are. So that crisis accommodation is the piece that's missing. A lot of different people in the community, different needs and different wants. People in our rough sleepers in our parks might have drug or alcohol abuse issues. They need support. They need professional support to get them out of that situation. Letting them live in a park is probably the worst thing for them, for their mental health as well. They'll just spiral down. So supporting people living in parks is making the situation worse for them long term. We want to get out of that. We want the housing to be provided for them. We want that support of professional services around them. And we want them to get back to be a positive member of our community.